Ma'am, your kids are out front again, playing in the parking lot. She looked up from her coffee, half exhausted, half annoyed, until she turned and saw them. 3 little girls. Same curls, same eyes, same dimpled chin she saw in the mirror every morning. They weren't her kids, but they looked exactly like her. And the man wiping the table behind them, her ex-husband. The one who vanished 8 years ago. The one who never called, never wrote. The one she still dreamed about, angrily, guiltily, longingly. And now, here he was, wearing a name tag, pouring coffee, raising triplets. Triplets, with her face. What came next? She came for coffee, but found her past breathing. It started with a wrong turn. Camilla Hadley, 35, elegant, unreadable millionaire tech executive, was supposed to be headed downtown. Instead, she took the exit toward Maple Ridge, a sleepy part of the city she hadn't stepped foot in since she was 27. She told herself it was just gas and coffee, nothing more. But as she pulled into the tiny diner with the peeling paint and flickering neon sign, she felt it in her throat, that tightening. The one that comes when memory walks faster than logic. She stepped in. No one recognized her. Not in her heels, not in her sunglasses, not in the way she stood too tall for the vinyl seats and cheap linoleum floors. She ordered a black coffee, sat down, opened her tablet, didn't look up until the bell above the door rang. "Ma'am, your kids are outside again." The waitress's voice trailed off as she pointed through the window. Camilla turned, and her blood froze. 3 little girls, about 7, maybe 8 years old, all with her nose, her cheekbones, her exact same laugh. And just behind them wiping a table was, "No," she whispered. "That's not possible." But it was. Marcus Hadley, her ex-husband, the man she hadn't seen in 8 years. Flashback the night he left. There'd been shouting. So many words neither of them meant, and some they meant too much. She wanted to build. He wanted peace. She got the career. He got the silence. She never filed for divorce. He never came back. Back to present. Marcus turned, caught her staring. The cloth in his hand stopped moving. Their eyes locked. And in that split second, in a faded diner, on a road she never meant to drive down, time cracked open. She stood up too fast. He took a step forward. "Camilla." Her voice didn't work. Her knees almost didn't either. One of the little girls, the one with the missing front tooth, turned to her and said, "Hey, you look like our mommy." Camilla looked at Marcus. But Marcus, he looked like a man who'd been keeping a secret so long. He forgot how to speak it out loud. "You look like our mommy." And he couldn't say a word. Camilla couldn't breathe. The little girl's words weren't cruel, weren't mocking. They were curious, sweet, innocent. But they hit like thunder in her chest. "You look like our mommy," the girl repeated, squinting up at her. Camilla didn't know whether to kneel or run, so she looked at Marcus. "What is this?" Her voice cracked, barely audible. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked down, and for the first time in her life, Camilla saw him as afraid. Flashback 8 years earlier. Marcus had wanted a child. Camilla said no. Not yet. Not with work exploding. Not with her trying to prove herself in boardrooms that mistook her brilliance for luck. "I want more time," she told him. "We're running out of it," he said quietly. Back to now. The waitress sensed something was off. Scooped the girls away gently. Marcus motioned to the back. They sat in a booth. Not as husband and wife. Not even as friends. Just 2 people with a continent of unsaid things between them. "Start talking," Camilla said. He didn't flinch. "They're yours." Silence. "You had 3 daughters with someone else." "No," he said. She blinked. "Then, who?" He looked her in the eye. "You." Camilla laughed. The sound was brittle. "That's impossible. You did IVF, remember the embryos we froze before everything fell apart. They were destroyed, she said sharply. He shook his head. I took the last batch before I left. Had them transferred later. Surrogate. Her jaw locked. That's illegal. You never signed to destroy them. Silence. Raw. Fractured. Terrifying. Why, she whispered. Because I couldn't let you go. Not completely. I thought, maybe if I raised part of you, I'd understand how to stop loving you. Her hands trembled. So you raised my children. Without telling me. I didn't think you wanted children. You made it clear. But they were still mine. And mine. She stood then, sat again, lost in thought. She remembered dreams she used to have. 3 little girls laughing, bouncing on a bed, wearing her earrings like crowns. She thought she buried those dreams, but now they were real, alive, calling someone else daddy, and staring at her like a mirror. Marcus leaned forward. I never wanted to hurt you, Camilla, but they saved me, and now you're here. She swallowed hard. I don't know what this is. I don't even know what to feel. Then stay a little longer, he said quietly. Feel one thing at a time. She didn't answer, but she didn't leave. Because outside that window, 3 little girls were drawing chalk hearts on the concrete. And Camilla couldn't stop watching them. Not anymore. She watched them laugh and wondered what her laughter might have sounded like. Camilla didn't go back to the city that night. She sat in her car for hours outside the diner engine, off hands in her lap, eyes fixed on nothing. Inside the diner, the lights shut off one by one, except for one, the kitchen, where Marcus stood washing the last of the dishes. Quiet, focused. A man with tired hands and a gentle rhythm. She used to know those hands once. Flashback, the IVF clinic, 8 years ago. They were holding hands then too, younger, hopeful, terrified. If this works, she whispered. We'll figure it out, he said. It didn't work the first time, or the second. But the third, they froze the embryos. Camilla wanted to wait. He wanted to try again. Then life got messy. Then it fell apart. Back to present. The next morning she returned. The girls were already at the diner, scribbling in coloring books, laughing over waffles. Camilla ordered coffee but didn't sit. She just watched. One of the girls looked up. Are you Daddy's friend? She blinked. Maybe, she said. You have hair like me. Camilla crouched. You think so? Yup. And eyebrows. And your nose is a little crooked like mine. Camilla almost laughed. I always hated that nose. I like it, the girl whispered. It makes us look like sisters. Marcus stepped in. They don't know. I haven't told them yet. Why not? I didn't want to give them something just to have it taken away again. Camilla didn't answer, but her silence wasn't cold. It was processing. Later that day, she walked the neighborhood, saw the tiny apartment Marcus and the girls shared. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. A crib still in the corner, even though they were far past babies. She opened her wallet and quietly slipped a black card into his hand. Get a better place. He looked at it and didn't move. I won't take your money. This isn't charity, Marcus. Then what is it? She looked at the girls through the window. It's a receipt for something I should have never abandoned. That night, for the first time in years, she didn't open her laptop. She stared at a picture she once took in secret, Marcus asleep on their couch, hand resting on her stomach before it all fell apart. She used to look at that photo and feel regret. Now, she felt possibility and fear, because some things are harder than success, like facing your mistakes and asking to be let back in. She never held them, but they ran to her like they knew her heart. The next weekend, Camilla showed up again. No bodyguards, no limo, just jean sneakers and a knot of nerves in her stomach she hadn't felt since her first investor pitch. This time, she brought something with her, a dollhouse. The exact model she used to beg for every Christmas as a child. pink, wooden, hand-painted. The triplets spotted her from the window. They ran outside without shoes. "Is that for us?" "Only if you help me carry it inside," she smiled. They did, all three of them, and for the next 2 hours she sat on the floor of the diner with sawdust in her hair, building a house she never had, for daughters she never held. Flashback Camilla's childhood. She'd grown up in a cold townhouse, quiet, perfect. Her mother didn't do hugs. Her father didn't do presents. She remembered being 5, kneeling by the radiator, playing with bottle caps and calling them people. Now these girls had names, laughter, a father who knew how to braid their hair. And maybe if the world hadn't gotten in the way, they might have had her too. After the dollhouse was done, one of the girls crawled into her lap. Just like that. No warning, no permission, just trust. "You smell like vanilla," she whispered. Camilla held still. "Is that good?" "It's my favorite smell." That night, after the diner closed, she and Marcus sat on the hood of his beat-up car. "They love you," he said softly. "They don't know who I am. Maybe that's why." She looked up at the stars. "What if it's too late? Then we start where we are." He turned to her. "Camilla, do you want to be part of their life?" Her eyes burned. "I don't know how to be a mom." Neither did I. "Yeah, but you stayed." He didn't defend himself, didn't explain, just said, "I stayed. But I broke too. Every time they asked why they didn't have a mom like the other kids." She swallowed. "Hard. I can't undo what I missed." "No, but you can show up now." A pause. Then he reached into his pocket and handed her a drawing crayon on napkin. It was the 3 girls, and a tall woman with curly hair beside them. "They drew you last night. Said they hoped you'd come back." She held it like it was glass. "I already did." She didn't know if she deserved to be called mom, but they already were. Camilla started showing up every weekend. At first just with gifts, books, craft kits, hair beads. Then, with time, she'd help braid their hair, listen to them read, watch quietly as they argued over who got to sit on her lap. She didn't ask to be called anything, didn't press. But one afternoon, while wiping a milk mustache off one of the girls, the smallest one whispered, "Mommy, can I have more syrup?" Camilla froze. The other 2 didn't even flinch, like they'd been saying it in their heads all along. Later, she stood outside with Marcus trembling. "Did you tell them to call me that?" "No," he said gently. "They just knew. But I didn't earn it." "You don't earn being a parent. You just become one. Every day." She nodded, but her eyes were distant. "Marcus, what if I fail them?" He looked at her slow and steady. "Then fail while loving them." Flashback Camilla, in the boardroom, age 29. The men in suits warned her, "You can't be soft. You can't show weakness. You can't be too available." So she wasn't. She became steel. Perfect, sharp, alone. But these girls, they didn't want perfect. They wanted her. Even when she didn't know how to show up. 1 week later, Marcus invited her to parent-teacher night. She almost said no. She didn't know their teacher, didn't know their homework, didn't know how to walk into a school and not feel like a fraud. But she came, sat beside Marcus on those tiny plastic chairs, smiled nervously when the teacher said, "It's so lovely to finally meet their mother." No one questioned her presence. Not that night. Because the girls kept looking back at her from across the room to make sure she saw their drawings, their stars on the chart, their tiny victories. And she clapped for each one, like she'd been doing it forever. Back at the diner that night, one of them asked, "Are you going to be here forever now?" Camilla knelt down, looked each of them in the eye. "I can't promise forever, but I can promise the next time, and the time after that, and the one after that." They nodded, satisfied. Because kids don't need forever. They need now, and someone who keeps coming back. She had everything, but now she wanted the one thing she left behind. Camilla's weekends blurred into each other. What started as visits turned into routines. She brought groceries, fixed a broken sink, painted a mural on their bedroom wall with the girls. Her assistant noticed. Her calendar shifted. Investors called it softness. She didn't care. For the first time, she wasn't building for stockholders. She was building for 3 girls who screamed when they saw her car pull up. But there was a part of her still unresolved. Marcus. They hadn't kissed, hadn't touched, barely talked about what they were now. She watched him every day. The quiet way he made pancakes. The calm in his voice when he said no to tantrums. The man who once left her bed in silence was now someone else. Wiser, steadier, more tired, and more complete. And somehow, Camilla began to wonder, where do I fit into his life now? Flashback the night he left. I don't want your money, Marcus had said. I want your attention, your time. You're always somewhere else. I'm doing this for us, she had snapped. You keep saying that, but I'm the only one still here. He walked out. She didn't stop him, because ambition had taught her needing someone was weakness. Now, she wasn't so sure. Back to now. That evening, after the girls fell asleep, Camilla stayed. She helped Marcus wash dishes, dry forks, sweep crumbs off the table, just like 1,000 invisible couples do across the country every night. I never imagined this life, she whispered. Neither did I, Marcus replied. A pause. Then softly, but I like who I've become in it. She nodded. Quiet. Then, do you ever miss us? He looked at her, steady. Every day, even after what happened, especially because of it. Camilla stepped closer. Marcus, I don't want to just visit anymore. I want to be part of it. All of it. He didn't rush to answer. Instead, he reached into the drawer, pulled out a folded envelope, yellowed, worn. I wrote this years ago. Never sent it. She opened it. Inside a letter, short, honest. If you ever come back, I won't ask why. Just tell me if you're staying. She looked up. Eyes full. I'm staying. He touched her hand. For the first time in 8 years. And it didn't feel like starting over. It felt like finally beginning. They never said I love you that night, but everything else did. After she read the letter, Camilla didn't speak for a long time. She just held it. Let the ink soak into her palms, like truth that couldn't be washed away. Marcus waited. He didn't press, didn't beg. He simply stood there the same way he always had, offering space instead of pressure. And finally she said, I used to think love meant sacrificing myself. Now I think it means showing up as I am. He nodded. It's messy, but it's ours. That night she stayed. Not in a guest room, not on the couch. She curled beside him in the small bed, the one the girls still ran to when they had nightmares. And for once, she slept without dreaming of missed meetings or failed pitches. She dreamed of waffles, tiny feet, laughter in the hallway. Flashback her first tech launch years ago. Everyone had clapped. She stood with a champagne glass in hand, cameras flashing, but she felt nothing. No one hugged her. No one called her mom. No one asked her to read them a bedtime story. Back to present. At breakfast, the girls made a mess of syrup and orange juice. Camilla joined them, hair unbrushed, shirt wrinkled, laughing. One of them looked up suddenly. Can we call you Mommy now? Like for real? Camilla's throat tightened. Only if you mean it. All 3 said it in unison. Mommy. She cried then, quietly. Behind her coffee mug, Marcus saw. Didn't say a word. Just reached over and held her pinky. Later that week, Camilla called a press conference. Not for a scandal, not for a product, but to announce her step back from the company. It's time I invest in something I can't IPO. Something I want to grow without monetizing it. When the journalist asked what that was, she simply said, a second chance. Some mocked her, some praised her, but none of it mattered. Because that evening she walked into a home filled with shoes by the door and crayon marks on the wall. And for once, She didn't care about fingerprints on the fridge. She cared about the 3 girls who yelled "Mommy" before she even got the keys out of her purse, and the man who kissed her cheek before asking, "You hungry?" Only for here. She built empires out of code, but this time she built one out of love 1 year later. Camilla no longer lived in penthouses. She didn't care about office windows or corner suites. She cared about windows with sunlight and hallways filled with tiny shoes. The girls were 8 now, each one different, one bold, one bookish, one wild as wind, all of them hers. They had her face, but more importantly, they had her now. The neighborhood knew her not as Camilla Hadley Tech visionary. They knew her as the mom who showed up early for school pickup, the one who ran the Saturday morning art class, the woman who brought her husband lunch at the diner and stayed to refill ketchup bottles. Because yes, she married Marcus again. Not with white gowns or luxury, just a backyard, sunflowers, 3 flower girls, and a vow whispered beneath string lights. This time, I'm not leaving. Even when I'm scared, even when I fail, even when I forget how to be soft, remind me, and I'll stay. Flash forward 5 years later. Their home was small but full. Drawings lined the fridge. Shoes piled at the door. Love in every chipped plate and storybook spine. Camilla sat at the kitchen table with a laptop, not to build a startup, but to write a children's book about a woman who thought she wasn't meant to be a mom until 3 little girls found her anyway. That evening, one of them crawled into her lap. "Mommy." "Yes, baby." "Are you happy now?" Camilla looked around. Marcus dancing in the kitchen, spaghetti sauce on the stove, laughter in the walls. And she said the one thing she had never truly believed before. Yes, so happy. Because power had never been the end goal. Love was. And though she found it late, she found it full. If this story reminded you that family isn't always planned and healing doesn't always come in order, subscribe to Real Father Story for more faceless truths that deserve to be heard.